Basketball is right around the corner, man, and we got so much to talk about. Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Barn Hoops podcast. It's Kyle Rush, Zep Jasper, and we are ready to get after it. I'm pumped. Basketball is literally less than 20 days before we have a actual it's an exhibition, or I guess 20 days before we have an exhibition basketball game. We got tip off from Toomers right around the corner. Actually, you're listening to this on Wednesday. It'll be tomorrow. And then we just had SEC Media Days and got some juicy quotes from Bruce and the gang to kind of get you fired up. We're going to dive into that shortly, but before we get started, we got to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. You got to give him a shout out to get your retirement in order, get your savings in order. Just make sure that you're doing everything that you need to be doing to put yourself on the right track. Go to retirementresults.com/plan, get a free portfolio analysis, a $1,500 value, absolutely free. Check your fees, make sure you're not paying outrageous fees, make sure you're taking advantage of products you need to be taking advantage of, all that good stuff, custom made just for you. Check him out, Ford Stokes. Tell him we're Eagle, tell him we sent you, and make a friend at the same time. Ford Stokes, retirement results presented by Active Wealth. Zep, man, we just finished up media days today or yesterday. A lot of great quotes, but my goodness, man, look, it feels like basketball should be a long way away, but you got Furman, the first exhibition game that was just announced, coming up on October 27th. You turn around, you got another exhibition at home against FAU, a pretty solid team for an exhibition game. And then you got tip-off November 4th, and it kicks everything off Thursday night with tip-off at Toomers, man. I mean, basketball season's here.
Basketball season is basically here. You see the preseason NBA games. When you see preseason NBA games, college is right around the corner. Everyone is pretty pumped about college basketball. That's one of the best things, out there. College basketball just is nothing but excitement, especially Auburn hoops. With us being the best in the country, no matter the rankings. I seen the AP poll, but Auburn is number one no matter what. We'll beat any team in the country, and I'm super pumped for Auburn basketball. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. We're coming in at number a lot of different polls coming in. Auburn preseason number 11 in the AP, preseason number 3 in KenPom, which KenPom's the only thing that really matters. Let's just be honest. It's the best. It's the best one. And picked to finish. I think finished first or second in the league. I think in the high. It was the highest predicted finish ever at media days. At SEC Media Days for Bruce's team. So a lot of folks, Auburn's actually getting, I know we like to play in that disrespect role where we kind of get, where we feel like we're underdogs and we play with a chip on our shoulder. Zep, when you kind of are starting to get a little bit of love, get a little bit of recognition, how does that change your mindset? Does that make you, how does that change how you attack the game?
Well, it changed a lot. Ever since I known of Auburn, they've always been the underdogs. No disrespect. We always been a team that they disrespect us, and we have to show them who we really are. With this year being, what they putting us at number 2, with Alabama being number 1. Of course, they did that because the AP poll. With Alabama being number 2 and with us being 11. That's the only reason they did that. But I feel like with us being number 2, it's a good point, but I feel better when we're disrespected because I feel like we have more to prove. Even though we're Auburn, we're a powerhouse now, I feel like we still have something to prove. We're coming for number 1, and that's the only thing we know is being number 1. And it doesn't matter what you start with during the season. It matters what you finish with, and we're coming for that number 1 spot.
There you go. Finishing, coming back. You're the reigning SEC champions, ready to go for a repeat. Bruce had a really good quote, and I want to get your take on this. And he's talking about the strength of schedule because when they released the KenPom rankings, I think there's a chance Auburn plays like 20 something teams out of the top 60 or 70, which is crazy to even think about. And depending on how Maui shakes out, it could be even more, even more of those teams. But he said it's easier to get someplace than it is to stay someplace. And I think that's just preaching. Okay, we've kind of got to this spot where we're very, very competitive, where we can beat the best in the SEC, but we're just kind of, we got to take that next step. We got to get back to where we were when we're making runs at the championship, making deep runs in the tournament, and the schedule is how you get there. Scheduling, having these teams being willing to play you. I mean, think about some of the like, why would they want to play Auburn to start their year out? Like being willing to play Auburn, going to Cameron Indoor, like all these different things to get to, it's harder. It's easier to get somewhere than it is to stay in place. What do you think about that quote?
I'm with it. Because the teams we play this year, like you say, it's a lot of teams that's in that 10 point range. I looked at a picture the other day where it says every team biggest game. I seen Auburn on five of those teams every big game. Um, and like you say, like the quote you just said, that's the reason. Because we're gonna beat every team's big game. Every team that we play, they're gonna come with their A game because they know Auburn's gonna come with it every single possession, every single game. So I'm with Bruce on that quote.
It's a little bit different this year. We're no longer the hunter. I guess you still can be to an extent. You still can have that mindset. You're no longer the hunter. Now you're the hunted, and you're the one that, like you said, people are circling on their schedule as that's the game we want right there. We want to take down Auburn, and it's a completely different role. And like again, Auburn's been in that hunter role for quite a while, but to be to go out and schedule the way you scheduled and stuff like that, you're going to be getting your A game from a lot of big time teams. And I think it's just super fun to see what's being built and fun to get excited about the non-conference. The non-conference, I think you would admit some of them have been, it's tough to get people to schedule games. It's tough to get those really high quality games unless you're like a super well-respected team. It's easy for Duke to schedule non-conference games. It's easy for Arizona to schedule non-conference games. It's easy for Michigan State. They play on that damn ship every year, it seems like, or whatever it is, that battleship. Like it's easy for those blue bloods to get those type preseason games. It's tough for Auburn, but they're finally sort of eking their way. We've kind of crept up into where now we're some of the top dogs and we're ready to compete against the other top dogs. And it's just fun. I think it's better for everybody. It's better for the fans, and then I think it's better for the players, and also I think it's better for recruiting.
Most definitely it's better for recruiting. Especially with us, especially with us going Nike next year. I think it's super big because say we have a good non-conference schedule, and we walk out the park with most of the wins. I think recruits are gonna look at Auburn as they already look at us as one of the top schools. But if we beat the big blue bloods like the Dukes, the Iowa States, a couple more schools, they would have nothing to say about us. You
Yeah.
can't say nothing bad about Auburn.
Yeah.
If we win most of these non-conference games this year, you have to put BP as one of the best coaches of all time.
I mean,
Because
that's such a great point. When you're checking boxes, when you're a recruit and you're checking boxes, okay, what's the arena like? What's the atmosphere like? What's the facilities like? Boom, check. Auburn up there, one of the best, home court advantages in the country, maybe the best. Overall talent. You're bringing in overall talent from the portal, from high school ranks every single year. Coaching. Bruce just coaches the absolute crap out of his guys. He gets the most out of everybody. He helps you be a two-way player and then he's putting people in the NBA. That's four. And then you just named the most important one. And they're Nike school now. So moving forward, how sad are you didn't get Nike? Do you feel cheated a little bit?
I
You can
feel
be honest.
cheated. I feel cheated because now all my Under Armour gear, it's like souvenirs now. You know, I'm good with it. But now I gotta go re up on some Nike gear.
There
Now
you
I
go.
gotta go. Shout out to Kevin. You know, he's the best equipment manager in the nation. There's nobody else beating him. But shout out to him, and just know I'll be coming in there and grabbing some Nike gear
Hey,
next summer.
hey, get my man a grab bag. Let's go. Get him get him a swag bag together. We got to get him some Nike gear. I think you need to send every player that played at Auburn under the Under Armour years. Just go ahead and send them a Nike swag bag. Like send them something they've been waiting for it forever. They got to help out my guys that battled through and got us to where we need to be. Hey, I think that's a big achievement. That's a not many people get how significant that is. Like to be able to put a product that was, I mean, quite frankly, it was so terrible before Bruce got here, and you get it, and then you build it to where it becomes a marketable product for Nike, which is the elite basketball school that there is. I think that just speaks volumes. But a lot more stuff that was talked about. So obviously we talked about the schedule. One of the things that jumped out to me, Johni Broome and Denver Jones went, which I don't think that's any surprise. Was that really a shock to you at all that either one of those guys were picked to go? Johni for sure. Denver, I could see an argument for a couple, but didn't really shock me that much.
It didn't shock me at all. Those guys deserve where they were. I'm super proud of both of them. They got a lot to accomplish this season, and I just have the utmost respect for both of those guys because they're humble guys, and all they want to do is win, and go play great for their families and also the school, the name behind but the name on the back of their jersey.
Yeah, there you go. So one of the things Johni Broome said, and I don't know if they're doing these separately, like at SEC Media Days, or do you know, do the players, are they being interviewed together or are they being interviewed separately? Do you know at all?
Some of them they get separately, some of them they are together.
Okay, so I don't know if Johni said this separate or whatever, but basically they're talking about the best shooter on the team. And I don't know if he wanted to just like not embarrass Denver or whatever, but he just said the best shooter on the team is Miles Kelly, which we kind of talked about, but it's surprising for me to hear that when Denver shot 42% from three last year and down the stretch was shooting over 50% from the field. But hey, you got a guy that came in who supposedly, I mean, it's hard. I can't question Johni says Miles Kelly's the best shooter on the team. I mean, I don't know about you, Zep, but that jacks me up to know that there's a guy out there that can shoot better than Denver Jones that's going to be on the floor playing a bunch of minutes.
As we talked, as I went to watch the practice, I seen the work Denver Jones put in. Not Denver Jones, but Miles Kelly. I seen both of them put in work. My bad, but Miles Kelly could shoot the cover off the basketball. When I watch him, he shoot the ball so effortlessly. Every time he shoot, he have the same mechanics. It just looked so interesting because I feel like I see him in the jungle shooting threes, the crowd going nuts, going crazy. And I just feel like, coming from the ACC, I feel like Denver is gonna have a great time with this 1 year Auburn. I feel like this is gonna be a life changing moment for him. I feel like the season he's gonna have, I feel like he's gonna be in the NBA NBA next year and be in the summer league. Just off of coming to Auburn and coming into a better conference and fitting in with the style of Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, even though Georgia Tech was an ACC team, they were not a great ACC team.
Mhm.
So it's hard to get noticed, I feel like sometimes when you're the best player on a not very good team. And so now Miles gets to come play against, I mean, he won the lottery, man. I mean, you get to come to Auburn, you get all the goods, you get all the surrounding talent, and you get the schedule. You get to go to Duke and you get to go show out in front of that crowd on primetime TV. And he's coming in such a short period of time, and he's turning heads so much so that I mean, I don't think it's very arguable. Probably the best player in the SEC, and definitely the best player on Auburn's roster, has already labeled him the best shooter. And that's probably tough for Broome, because I think Broome probably thinks he's the best shooter at times, especially when he gets the look, he's pulling it. So for him to say that, I think that speaks volumes.
I would speak a lot of volume because every time Janai is open, he feel like he's gonna make a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
When Janai first got to Auburn, he didn't shoot threes. That was something he had to work on. But like you say, we're adding Denver on this roster is key. And with Denver coming from Georgia Tech, I
Miles.
feel like he's with not Denver but
Yeah,
Miles. With Miles,
good.
they both shooters, so I always get you know you get mixed up because they're both 39 to 40% 3-point shooter. So I always get them mixed up.
Oh, you
But
good.
with Miles coming from Georgia Tech, I feel like he's gonna get more notice. I feel like he's gonna have a better win percentage. Um, I just like I said, I feel like he's gonna enjoy the moment. It's gonna be one of those moments every game he's gonna go into the locker room like I'm really here. I really have a chance to win a national championship. He didn't have a chance when he was at Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Now he have a chance to do everything he wish he did when he first got in college. This is gonna be a on the moment type of thing for him,
I
and I'm
love it.
proud of him.
I love it because, I mean, how hard is it to go to work every day and know that you have to be dependent on to score all the points, and then you can't win the games at the end. And now he can go still do those. He can still go do his thing and score the points. But now you're getting to, make a run at, a national title, an SEC title, that type of thing. A lot of fun. Last thing we're going to talk about. This was something that we heard some whispers of, and you and I talked about it briefly. But Broome mentioned, I think he was talking. They was basically being asked about, how he's developed, what he's been working on, and et cetera, et cetera. And he mentioned that this summer he'd been playing a lot at the 4. Okay. And you and I discussed that about the possibility of seeing him and Dylan on the court at the same time. And I had heard whispers as early as the end of last year that was one of the pitches. Hey, if you come back, we're going to help you sort of develop at the 4, get you some looks there where you can show the scouts different things and whatnot. And then Broome basically said, yeah, I was playing some 4 over the summer. But the thing that I think jumped out to me is, like he said, it's not so much of that I'm going to be playing the 4 in the season. It's that what he learned from playing the 4 is going to help him big time defensively to be able to, he's probably defending some quicker guys, like guys that can move around a little bit. And now he's going to, he kind of adds that element to his game where he's not just locking down the big man. He can step out there if he has to and run with a 4 or, a big 3, something like that. So I thought that was interesting. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. And if you think that was just a summer thing, or if you could see some, I mean, with him talking about it, could you see some lineups where you have both of those guys on the floor at the same time?
I think we are going to see we're going to see both of those guys on the floor at the same time. This year, I think we'll see a lot of new things. I think Janai would love to play the 4 because Janai always been at the 5. So it's like a kid who wants some candy who never got candy. So I think it's gonna be very enjoyable to see Janai at the 4, and he just want to play a different type of style instead of being back to the basket. He want to come down, get the ball, pump fake sometimes, and drive. Like a guard sometimes. So I think it'd be very exciting just to have both of them on the court at the same time, throwing lobs. I see Janai throwing a lob to Dylan. Mark my words. Mark my words. I see Janai having a little bit of ball skills and just making a fancy pass. So I'm looking very forward to seeing those two guys play with each other, and I just feel like it's gonna be a big lineup. I feel like it's gonna help us sometimes, especially on the defensive end. I feel like you're not going to be able to come to the paint, so it's something I'll be looking forward to watching.
If you had to guess, if you're talking about a minutes per game scenario, is this going to be something that is significant, super situational, or I mean, you think you expect to see it, maybe somewhere between 8 to 10 minutes a game, or is it again, or is it just you think super situational, pretty rare? How do you see that actually playing out based off of what
Well,
you've seen?
Well, from what I've seen, I think it depends on the team
Yeah,
we playing against, the style, and also it also depends on how they do the first game or the first two games.
yeah.
If it works and they're playing one of the best teams in the country,
Look out.
look out. That's all I'm gonna say. Look out. And guess what we're gonna call them? The
What's that?
Twin
The
Towers.
Twin Towers. I love it.
The
I love
Twin
it.
Towers.
You talk about an explosion from the crowd when those two dudes are on the court. I think it could be a fun lineup too. I think it's going to be. It probably needs to be a little bit more situational, like we talked, like you just mentioned,
Mhm.
or because you just got to worry about if Dylan gets in foul trouble because Dylan's a great defender, but can he defend for an extended period of time without catching a bunch of fouls? It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season. You got like I said, SEC Media Days kind of kicking it off. A lot of interesting quotes. We got a lot of stuff. We got some recruiting updates to talk about later on in the week. Just a ton of stuff going on. Basketball. We're going to recap tip off at Toomers. I want to get your thoughts on some of the highlights and some of the things that you remember from tip off at Toomers when you were here. We're going to talk about it all. So, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting us. We're going to keep at it. Basketball is closing in, baby, and it's going to be a blast this season. So, guys, thanks again. It's another episode of the Barn Hoops podcast. We'll talk again soon.